Have you ever been told you're too quiet, too serious, or that something must be wrong with you because you'd rather stay home than go to a party? Or maybe you're not the introvert. Maybe you know one. Someone who seems distant, hard to read, and you've never quite been able to figure them out. Today, we're going deep into the psychology of introverted people. Not the watered-down version you've heard before. The real version. What's actually happening inside their mind. Why the world constantly misreads them. And what their silence is actually saying. Because here's the truth. Introverts are not broken extroverts. And by the end of this video, whether you are one or you love one, you will never see them the same way again. Stay until reason number 7, because that one is going to stop you completely. If this is the kind of content that makes you think, subscribe right now for simple, powerful insights into human behavior every single week. And hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this channel. Now, let me tell you about a man named Elliot. Elliot is 29 years old, lives in Portland, Oregon, and from the outside, he's a mystery. He's intelligent, thoughtful, genuinely kind. His coworkers respect him. His friends, the few he has, would do anything for him. But at every office party, Elliot disappears after 40 minutes. At family gatherings, he finds a corner and stays there. On group chats, he reads everything, but rarely responds. And people talk. His manager once pulled him aside and said, "Elliot, you need to speak up more in meetings. People are starting to think you don't care." His mother tells people he's always been shy, as if shyness is a condition that needs fixing. An old friend once told him straight, "You make people feel like you don't want to be around them." And Elliot sat with all of that, quietly, as he does with everything. Because the truth is, Elliot cares deeply. He thinks constantly. He feels everything. He's just doing it on the inside, where most people never think to look. So here are 10 psychological reasons why introverts are the way they are, and why the world has been reading them wrong all along. Number 1, their brain is wired differently, and science proves it. This is not a personality preference. This is not a choice. This is neuroscience. Research shows that introverts have higher baseline activity in the areas of the brain associated with internal thought, planning, and self-reflection. Their brains are literally more active at rest than the average extrovert's brain during social interaction. This means that for Elliot, simply existing in a noisy, stimulating environment requires significantly more mental energy than it does for others. He's not being antisocial. His brain is already running a full program before anyone even says hello. Number 2, they don't get energy from people. They lose it. This is the most fundamental thing most people get wrong about introverts. Extroverts are energized by social interaction. For introverts, it's the opposite. Social interaction, even enjoyable social interaction, drains their mental and emotional battery. After Elliot's office party, he doesn't go home and feel refreshed. He goes home, sits in silence for an hour, and slowly feels like himself again. That hour of silence is not antisocial behavior. That is his nervous system recovering. That is him recharging so he can show up fully for the people and things that matter most to him. Have you ever pushed an introvert to keep socializing after they've clearly started to withdraw? Now you know what you were actually asking them to do. Number 3, they process everything more deeply than most people realize. Elliot doesn't speak in meetings because he has nothing to say. He doesn't speak because he is still processing. Introverts are deep processors by nature, where an extrovert might think out loud, working through ideas in real time with other people. An introvert processes internally first. Sometimes for hours, sometimes for days, before they feel ready to speak. This means that when Elliot finally does say something, it is almost always worth hearing. But in a world that rewards the loudest voice in the room, his most valuable thoughts often never make it out. Not because they don't exist, but because the room never slows down enough to receive them. Number 4,
Solitude is not loneliness. It is oxygen. People look at Elliot leaving a party early and assume he is sad. They assume he is lonely. They feel sorry for him. But here is what they don't see. Elliot driving home in complete silence with a quiet smile on his face. Elliot making tea and sitting by his window with a book. Elliot feeling, for the first time all day, completely and entirely like himself. Psychologists have found that introverts not only prefer solitude, they require it for psychological well-being. It is not a symptom of depression. It is not a sign of social failure. For an introvert, solitude is the state in which they think their clearest thoughts, feel their deepest feelings, and reconnect with who they actually are. Taking that away from them doesn't help them. It slowly damages them.
Number 5, they are not shy, and the difference matters enormously. This is the one that frustrates introverts most. Shyness is a fear of social judgment. Introversion is a preference for less stimulation. Elliot is not afraid of people. He is not nervous in social situations. He simply finds large groups overstimulating, and one-on-one conversation infinitely more meaningful. He can walk into a room and speak confidently when the situation calls for it. He can lead a meeting, give a presentation, hold a conversation. But when it is over, he needs to go home and be alone. Not because he was scared, but because he was spent. Calling an introvert shy is like calling someone who prefers quiet restaurants afraid of loud ones. It completely misses the point.
Number 6, their friendships are few but ferociously deep. Elliot has 3 close friends. 3. And those 3 people know him in a way that most people will never be known by anyone. Introverts do not do surface-level connection. Small talk feels not just boring to them, it feels genuinely exhausting because it requires social energy without any of the emotional reward. What Elliot wants, what most introverts want, is real conversation. The kind where you talk about what you actually believe, what you are actually afraid of, what actually keeps you up at night. If you have ever had an introvert open up to you completely, truly open up, understand that you were given something they give to almost no one. That is not nothing. That is everything.
Number 7, and this is the one I need you to sit with. Introverts are often carrying a quiet grief that nobody around them ever acknowledges. The grief of spending their entire lives being told that the way they are is not enough. Too quiet, too serious, too difficult to read, too much work to get to know. Elliot has been told in 100 different ways by 100 different people that who he naturally is somehow a problem to be solved. And at some point, many introverts stop trying to explain themselves and simply accept the version of themselves that the world has decided they are. Withdrawn, cold, uninterested. When the truth, the real psychological truth, is that they are some of the most internally rich, emotionally complex, deeply feeling people you will ever meet in your life. They just stopped believing anyone was willing to look closely enough to see it. Number 8, they are among the most creative and insightful people alive. This is not flattery. This is documented psychological research. The same inward focus that makes social situations draining is the exact same quality that produces extraordinary internal worlds. Introverts spend enormous amounts of time inside their own minds, thinking, connecting ideas, questioning assumptions, imagining possibilities. Some of the most impactful creative minds in history, writers, scientists, philosophers, artists, were deeply introverted people who turned their inner world into something the outer world could not ignore. Elliot writes, not for anyone else, just for himself. And what he writes in the quiet of his apartment at midnight is more honest, more insightful, more human than most people manage to say out loud in an entire lifetime.
Number 9. They read people with extraordinary accuracy. Here is the quiet superpower most people never notice. Because introverts spend so much time observing rather than performing, they develop an almost uncanny ability to read people deeply and accurately. They notice the slight shift in someone's tone, the micro-expression that flashes across a face, the thing someone said that didn't quite match the look in their eyes when they said it. Elliot knew his manager was threatened by him 3 months before anyone else noticed. He knew his friend's relationship was in trouble long before she admitted it to herself. He doesn't say these things out loud. He rarely does. But he sees them. He always sees them. Never mistake an introvert's silence for unawareness. They are frequently the most aware person in any room they enter.
Number 10, they don't need to be fixed. They need to be understood. This is the one that matters most. Every therapy session Elliot was pushed toward as a teenager was framed around helping him become more outgoing. Every performance review that mentioned his quietness treated it as a professional liability. Every well-meaning person who said, "You just need to come out of your shell," was saying, without realizing it, that his shell was a problem. But the shell is not a problem. The shell is where he thinks his best thoughts, where he protects his energy, where he decides carefully and deliberately who is worth letting in. The world does not need introverts to become extroverts. The world needs people to stop treating loudness as confidence, silence as weakness, and depth as difficulty.
Elliot is not a project. He is not a puzzle to be solved. He is not someone who needs to come out of anything. He is exactly who he is supposed to be. And if you were an introvert watching this right now, so are you. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are not broken or cold or difficult. You are someone who experiences the world at a depth that most people are simply not equipped to recognize. And that is not a flaw. That is a gift. If this video made you feel seen, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more content that actually speaks to who you really are. Drop a comment below. Are you an introvert? Or are you someone who finally understands the introvert in your life? See you in the next one.